Hello. Today we're going to be discussing valuing diversity and stereotyping. Many times, moral and ethical dilemmas arise in the workplace for people at work that concern organizational justice, both distributive and procedural. Two moral principles which guide managers or leaders in their efforts to manage diversity are distributive justice and procedural justice. Distributive justice concerns the fairness of outcomes individuals receive. For example, the salaries and bonuses of U.S. corporate executives became a central issue with Japanese executives when President George H.W. Bush and American CEOs in key industries visited Japan in 1992. The Japanese CEOs questioned the distributive justice in keeping the American CEOs' salaries at high levels at a time when so many companies were having financial difficulty and laying off workers. Procedural justice concerns the fairness of the process by which outcomes are allocated. The ethical questions here do not concern the just or unjust distribution of organizational resources, but rather the process. Has the organization used the correct procedures in allocating resources? Have the right considerations, such as competence and skill, been brought to bear in the decision process? And have the wrong considerations, such as race and gender, been excluded from the decision process? One study in a work scheduling context found voluntary turnover negatively related to advance notice and consistency, which are two dimensions of procedural justice. Some research found cultural differences in the effects of distributive and procedural justice, such as between Hong Kong and the United States. Why managing diversity makes good business sense? Well, first, diverse organizational members can be a source of competitive advantage. Why? Because each individual has a different perspective. Next, diverse members understand whether the customers and what products and services they buy. Why? Because perhaps they buy those very same products, and they understand what customers are interested in purchasing. Next, effective management of diversity can improve profitability. If you as a manager or a leader are able to garner the energy and the creativity from diversity, and I say this in the way when you think about Disney, you hear diversity through creativity through diversity. The truth is, if you're able to garner that energy and create a synergy where two people working together is better than each one working alone, ultimately you will gain profitability. And last but not least, avoidance of costly lawsuits. Stereotypes. What are those? Well, we all think that we know what stereotypes are. But in definition, stereotypes are simplistic and often inaccurate beliefs about the typical characteristics of particular groups of people. Example, blondes are dumb, right? You hear blonde jokes, etc. That's an example of a stereotype. The stereotypes go on and on. You can certainly read about them on the internet, but the bottom line is they're often inaccurate. That's the important thing to take away from this. What are biases? Biases are the systematic tendency to use information about others that result in inaccurate perceptions. And that can be, you hear the phrase, oh, I'm a little bit biased about that, because you actually are engaging in an action or a behavior where the end result could be inaccurate perceptions. Now, you are a leader. How do you promote the effective management of diversity? Well, first, you have to secure top management commitment. This, of course, is not always easy. CEOs, CFOs, COOs are always incredibly busy individuals because, in truth, they have an entire company to run. But often in top-down organizations, if you don't secure top management commitment, unfortunately, what you're trying to implement may actually fall flat. So you want to start there. You want to increase the accuracy of perceptions. You don't want to put across perceptions that are wrong or incorrect. You want to increase diversity awareness. Now, the question is exactly how would you do that? Well, as you know, there are continuing education courses. There's cultural sensitivity courses. Now there's education in organizations such as webinars, face-to-face meetings, training sessions, where you can actually increase diversity awareness. You want to increase diversity skills, not only in yourself, but in your employees, so that your employees are more accepting of individuals in the workplace that are not like them. You want to encourage flexibility. You want to promote that, and I don't mean promote in moving from one level in the organization to another. You want to promote flexibility by, commending employees who have exhibited good behavior in terms of acceptance and diversity. You want to pay close attention to how employees are evaluated. Now, you're probably reading this and saying, what has this got to do with anything we're talking about? A lot of times individuals, leaders, managers, etc., come into the workplace with their own set of prejudices, stereotypes, and biases. These prejudice, stereotypes, and biases can often come into play when evaluating employees. For example, there is the similar to me effect. What does that mean? That is when an individual will rate another individual very highly because that individual is just like them. Maybe looks like them, maybe talks like them, maybe philosophizes like them. So you've got to be aware that there are prejudice, biases, and stereotypes that come into play. And if you find that as a leader that, let's say, for example, a particular group in the organization seem to be getting rated very low on their evaluations by a particular manager, you need to be, as a leader, an individual who will stop and question that action. Consider the numbers. Consider the numbers can mean a couple of things, but primarily ensure that your organization is diverse. Do you have different nationalities, different ethnicities working in the organization? One thing that we always talk about in the business program, empower the employees to challenge discriminatory behaviors, actions, and remarks. Repeat, empower employees to challenge discriminatory behaviors, actions, and remarks. If you're a good leader and you want diversity in the workplace, you have to make sure that your employees understand your perspective and have them promote your perspective in the same way that you do, even when you're not around. It honestly makes for a healthier and happier workplace. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this PowerPoint presentation on promoting diversity in the workplace and avoidance of stereotypes. Please keep in mind that this PowerPoint is to be used as an adjunct to your textbook. So you want to make sure you read your textbook chapters, enjoy those, and use this as kind of another source for you to actually look at. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.